Hi YouTube, it's March 9th and it's Friday, so you know what that means. We're gonna be talking. What are your thoughts on climate change? Has it affected you? Do you have feelings on it one way or another? Don't really care, never really heard about it? Well, let's talk about it. It is March 9th, right? So, if you're new to this channel, each week on Friday I upload something that is just kind of my thoughts from the week, maybe something that happened in the week, whether it's politically, personal, whatever it may be. I want to make the world a better place, and I think that the way that we do that is by coming together and talking it out. And one of those major factors that seems like making the world a better place would be climate change. I mean, 97% of scientists, climate scientists at that, people who went to school and are paid to focus just on climate, not Uncle Bob, who has never studied climate in his life but watches Fox News, are saying that it's real, it's here, and it's having devastating consequences. I live in New York City, and we were hit by two nor'easters back to back. And if you've never been in one of those, it's kind of like, well, let me just show you. There's gonna be a picture on here because I took some video. In my apartment, I have a front row seat of what it looks like from the air. And this one that we had, actually the last two we had have been really weird because they've been ice, snow, and rain, and sometimes like big balls of hell all mixed into one. Usually it's just more snow or maybe rain, but because of climate change and the climate being so out of whack, we're getting really weird stuff that's happening. And cities like New York, Miami, Houston are seeing these consequences. And it just happens that last year I happened to be visiting Houston right when they had their huge hurricane. And I lived in Houston prior to this, and I'd been through a hurricane or two. Never was it as crazy as that one that hit there. I mean, the rain was so hard and the flooding would happen so incredibly quickly, and the whole time it was happening, all I could think of was, how are we not doing anything about this? Even the local news was barely mentioning the effects that climate change have on this and how these storms are intensifying because of the unstable atmosphere. We don't talk about it. We miss it. Something else crazy, the start of all of this. I moved to New York 5 years ago, and February was typically the worst month. I mean, you hated your life in February and you really questioned your whole living in New York City. But these last two Februaries have been crazy. We've had record-breaking warm temperatures. In fact, on February 21st of this past month, we had a record-breaking temperature that has never been seen. Central Park reached 78 degrees in February. The absolute highest normal temperature ever been recorded for that is 48 degrees. 78, that's crazy. I mean, same thing happened in Washington, D.C. and other places, and we've been keeping track of this for 149 years, and no, people are still out there saying it's no big deal, it's no big deal. And when I say people are out there, this is this weird thing that's really unique to America. You go around the world and they're not saying, oh, no, this is fake, this is fake. But the one place that has so much money telling people what to believe and what not to believe, we have people so uneducated in this life-altering, catastrophic event that people genuinely believe that all of this stuff is just pure coincidence, even though most of us have been alive and now at this point long enough to realize this is not normal, this is crazy. But people like to just laugh it off. No big deal, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna be fine. And I don't know how that is. I had a friend that asked me the other day that he's not very political, and he knows I do a lot to try to fight climate change and educate people on climate change. And he said, you know, you were saying that we have just a small window to really get this right, and if we don't get it right, what are you gonna do at that point in time? And I kind of laughed because I never really thought about it. In my head, I'm like, no, we're going to do something about this. Surely people in America are going to wake up and say, oh my God, Miami floods every time that we have a full moon. This isn't normal. We got to do something about it. So I thought that people would try to start, reducing their beef intake, not driving as much, trying to carpool, do whatever it takes to come together and fight this. We did it with the ozone. Why can't we do this? And in that moment, I kind of had to sit and think about it, and I was like, man, I'm not a very wealthy person. Sure, all these people, the Trumps and the Koch brothers and all of these other wealthy families, the Walton family, they're going to be fine. All these big oil, ExxonMobil, all these people who own all of these oil companies, the big agriculture people, they're going to be fine because they got money. Whatever they need to pay to avoid the extreme heat or the extreme cold, whatever is happening, move away from the flooding areas, they're going to be fine because they can continue to do it. But it's going to be all of these people like Puerto Rico or all of these other small islands that keep getting hammered and hammered by crazy storms or rising sea levels that are having to escape to America. And the other middle class or under middle class are now going to be fighting with more and more people, not to mention lack of food. Okay, this is just turning into a crazy, scary Friday session, but these are my thoughts on it, and I would love to know why you think we're not doing enough, or are we doing enough? And truth be told, I'm probably missing, there is an upside of people around this world doing amazing things. Even to me, the Paris Climate Accord was absolutely stunning, that for the first time the whole world could come together, and I was really upset when Trump took us out of that. And I got in debate with a few people that were saying, it's no big deal, we're still gonna, there's companies here still doing good stuff, it doesn't matter what he says. And even if that was true, the optics of that, of Americans supposed to be the leader of the free world saying, no, we want nothing to do with this, and our elected leader is going to say that climate change is just a hoax, that sends horrible messages to the rest of the world. It's just kind of like, if they're not going to do it, why are we going to do it? And I would say that now it's been, almost a year or so since he did that, and that actually hasn't happened. It seems like the rest of the world is kind of going, screw you, America, we know this is real, and we're actually going to do whatever it takes to stop this. We're not going to be stupid, and let this devastate humanity. So, I'm glad I'm wrong on that part of it, and I'm glad that there are states in our country and big businesses that are still fighting to eliminate their emissions. And, I always never lose comfort in this one thing, that we as individuals are so incredibly powerful, because every single day if we do something, that helps. Just one little droplet, all these other droplets, it makes a puddle, and eventually it makes a lake or a pond or whatever it is. So I know if I'm doing my part, you're doing your part, we are making a difference, and that is incredibly comforting. And with that, I'm gonna leave you with my last thought. Go out and do something good in the world today. Make the world a better place because you are here today. All my love. Bye, see you next Friday.